Guys, check this out. That is impressive. Dude, whoever you are, you can come wire my house any day. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Truck Me Eccentrically. Maybe I could still call it that for the moment because I am driving a truck, a pickup truck. Another company vehicle, another company to watch me on AI monitoring as I do my job here. I wanted to update and let you guys know that I am officially an employee with this company. It is the residential leasing company that I talked about earlier, and I've been working since July 8th. That was my first day. I've been training, started training on that day, and I trained for a good 2 weeks, I would say. Did a lot of computer-based training, and then I actually started getting out there in the field with a trainer. And ever since last week, I've actually been out in the field on my own. And they taught me how to do one particular type of job before having me go out there on my own to actually do it. And well, I can't really show you a whole lot. A lot of it's would be considered probably corporate theft if I filmed. So yeah, anyway, what I do is I get a list every morning of properties to go and do inspections on. Now, there's a few things that I'm doing in particular whenever I go and I look at a house. Like today, I've got 6 of them. They're all in Douglasville. Actually, some of them they're getting kind of close to Dallas, so it's all on the west side of Atlanta. What I've been doing primarily is called an initial vacancy check. And what that does is when a house gets taken out of renovation status or construction status and it's ready to be put on the market to be leased, they need somebody to go in and do an inspection, like an initial inspection on it. And they need somebody to go in and curate the home. And what that means is just getting it presentable and ready for like open house walks. And so it needs to be clean. It needs to be documented, whatever state it's in. Now, this company, they have what they call a scope for each property that they buy or each property that they own. And what that scope does is it says, okay, we're only going to invest this much money into this property. We feel like this property has a little bit more potential and we'll make a little bit more profit off of it, so we might invest a little bit more. It might be because of the area that it's located in. It might be because, you know, it's a newer home, or it might be because if it's an older home, there's something really unique about it that's going to cause some kind of attraction in the market, if that makes any sense. And they do have some homes that are special like that. So again, what I'm doing initially in this initial vacancy check is I'm doing just that. I'm going up into the property and I'm making sure that nobody's squatting in it. If there are people squatting in the home, then I have a report that I have to make, instead of just going up into the property, which would actually be really dangerous potentially, I have to report it. They go in and they clear the property out. And if that requires like something kind of along the lines of an eviction, like say if there's a tenant and they're supposed to be out by a certain date but they fail to leave, then that's like a forced eviction. The law has to show up, it's court ordered and all that stuff. I had to do that when I was a bank contractor. Every time we did an eviction, we would have to call the sheriff's department or whatever county we were in. They'd have to show up and they'd have to be there the whole time just to make sure that everything was done orderly according to, the law. And so it's kind of like that. Then there's also the potential of the home having like just squatters in it, like homeless people or, whatever else have you. That could potentially be a circumstance. That could be the reality of it. So I have to be careful when I'm coming up into some of these properties, and I know what to look for. I'm pretty intuitive, so if there's any kind of sign of foul play or anything like that, I usually can tell. And I have come across some pretty strange things, even in the past week of just working on my own. It's not a common occurrence, but sometimes, yes, if you're initially going up onto a property, you might notice some what appears to be entry, like forced entry. Not necessarily breaking and entering, but just forced entry. Like they might pry the screens off of windows that they notice are unlocked, and they might try to get in like that. So what I do is I go up in there and I will post signage saying, no trespassing. If you come into this home without the permission of the company that owns the home, then you're going to be charged, you're going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, that kind of thing. I'm also doing like utility checks while I'm there. I'm checking to make sure if the power's on, which it usually is, or utilities, like say if the home has gas, if the gas is turned on, if the water's turned on. If it's off, it's called a deterrent. A lot of times these houses, because they've been worked on, they've got the water shut off. If they had to do any kind of plumbing or anything like that, they'll turn the main water supply off for the house. The water supplier for whatever city the house is in, they don't normally turn the water off, and I think that's because the house itself is typically in, like the utilities for the home are typically in the company's name, but they have some kind of account or something that a tenant will sign up for to where the utilities are included in the rent or something like that. So they're usually always on, even when the house isn't occupied. But they will turn the water off from time to time. And so if that's the case, I have to document it. And then I'm also going up in there and I'm checking out all the appliances, making sure that everything works. If it has gas, I'm checking to make sure that the pilots are working on the stove, making sure that, if the water heater is a gas water heater, that the pilot light is on, that the house has hot water. Checking to make sure, just minute things like, is the refrigerator, does it have an ice maker? Does it have a water dispenser? If it does, is it hooked up to a water source? Stuff like that. And I'm also checking to make sure that these renovation teams that came in to work on the house, checking to make sure that they did what they were supposed to do, or if they were supposed to make some kind of repair, did they do it right? Did the house have a work order to be cleaned, like a deep cleaning of the house? How did they do? What kind of job did they do? At that point, I can say, okay, they did a good job cleaning this house. I'm going to pass it. Or they overlooked this or they overlooked that, so I have to report it. It's important that we make it to these properties to verify that the work that was supposed to be done gets done. We have a grace period of time to respond and verify if the work that was supposed to be done, the work orders and whatnot, actually got done. If it didn't get done, I have to notate it, I have to report it, and they have to come back out and fix what they didn't do that they were supposed to do. If it did get done, then the status of the house will switch over to what's known as rent ready. If the house is rent ready, it gets curated, and I actually have to curate it for the website that the house is on. So I have to say, I'll have to describe the house. Does it have hardwood flooring? Does it have laminate flooring? What kind of layout does the house have? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? That kind of thing. What kind of neighborhood is it in? Is it in a gated community? I'm just looking at various aspects, really. Various things about the job. I'm sorry, I'm on camera right now. They're watching me drive, which is a little overkill, but I get why they're doing it. Is because people are absolutely insane out here. It's just atrocious the way that people drive. It's like it gets worse. It gets worse, and it's funny that they're enforcing all this shit, all this driver monitoring shit, and as they do this, things are literally getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Like, my insurance, my own personal insurance for my own vehicle, my own home, has gone up in the past couple of months, and I know it's been like this for everybody. Not just me, it's been like this for everybody. At least everybody in Georgia, but probably everybody everywhere. I haven't been in any accidents. I haven't claimed any liabilities. So why am I having to pay more now? Because people around me are acting so insane when they get behind the wheel of a vehicle because they can't control themselves, when they feel that they have a little bit of power at their fingertips, they turn into freaking animals. That's not my freaking fault. Maybe it's because they're oppressed. Sorry, guys. I'm still just as cynical as I was as a truck driver. That hasn't gone anywhere. And it's because I feel everything, people. I feel it all. And like I said before, it feels like a curse, but I still feel it all. It's not supposed to be a curse, though. I just have to use it right. I have to breathe. I'm working a lot. Because I live south of Atlanta, kind of southeast, if you think about it, a lot of times the area that I'm going to work is in northwest of Atlanta. So like again, Austell, Dallas, Douglasville, Villa Rica, Hiram, Lithia Springs, those areas I'm working in. And they're basically on the opposite end of Atlanta from where I live. So it's taken a long time for me to get to work, to my first house every day, and it's taken even longer for me to get home in the afternoon. And I think that once I actually learn how to do the entire job, what my title is actually FOS. So I'm a field operations specialist. That's what my title is. Again, I can do the initial vacancy checks, but there's another half of the job that I have to learn how to do. I've done it with assistance before, but I haven't done it outright completely on my own, and I have to learn how to do that next. So yes, I am working really long shifts. I would say that right now, because I have to drive so far to get to work, and because they are trying to catch up, they're really behind on things, so they're trying to get caught up. And so because of that, they're kind of dumping stuff on me so that it'll get done. And once they get caught up, because I'm one of 2 new hires that they just hired. They hired another guy to do the same thing. So they're trying to get all this work done and get caught up. And once they do, I'm thinking that it'll chill out a little bit. And then because they have so many houses in Georgia, they have houses that are in the area that I live in, but they didn't hire me for that particular branch, if that makes sense. They need help in the west side of Atlanta, so that's what they hired me to do, along with another guy that lives on the east side of Atlanta. So once they do get caught up, and I do learn how to do the job, the whole job, I'm thinking that it will chill out a little bit, and I'll actually get to work in the area that I live in, so I'm not spending 2 hours in the morning getting to work, and then sometimes 2.5 hours to get home, because it literally is that far. Sometimes I can drive up to 100 miles one way till I get to the furthest house that I'm going to hit that day before I turn around and go back home. So it's extremely time consuming. It's a lot of driving. Like I'm going to spend over 4 hours in the truck driving. And that doesn't count the amount of time that I spend doing the actual job. Again, I can't really show you inside of any of these houses. I can't show you the name of the company or anything like that. I'm not comfortable doing that. And I mean, I can talk about my previous job now. Like I work for JB Hunt. You guys know how that went. No longer a truck driver. I'm loving it, guys. It feels so good to be out of a truck making money, not having to drive one of those big lunky things around anymore, but still getting to work in the field independently on my own. I spend all day by myself. I have a tablet, I have a laptop, I have an iPhone that the company provided me with. I use Microsoft Teams, I use Outlook, I use all the latest technology to communicate with my team. But I don't ever really see anybody. I'm always by myself in these houses, and I love it. I love the independent nature of it. Guys, I used to do cable, and like I said, for a little while I did satellite. For a little while I was a bank contractor working on foreclosed properties, doing property preservation. This is very similar to that, except I'm not actually doing as much physical work as I did on that job. On that job, I was doing all kinds of stuff. I was getting up on roofs. I was replacing shingles. I was replacing pipe boots. I was boarding up windows. I was going into houses and treating mold. I don't have to do any of that stuff in this job. I just have to report it so that it can get done. And that's the difference. But I am doing some work. Like if there's a minor repair here, minor repair there that needs to be fixed, or something needs to be replaced. Like all these houses that I work in, they're all smart homes. They all have electronic locks. They all have like smart hubs. I can control the thermostat. I can control the locks. All from my handheld device. I can unlock the doors as soon as I get there. I can turn the air conditioner all the way down, and I usually have to do that just to check and verify that it's working correctly. That's other stuff that I have to do. I just have to make sure that the house is ready to move into. And I have to ask myself, as I walk through the house, I have to ask myself the question, okay, would I want to live here? Would I want to pay $2,000 a month to live in this house? And if not, then why? And then write up a report saying why I wouldn't want to live in the house. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a cool job. It's just we're like swamped right now. We've got so much work. Normally it would be a really, really cool job, laid back, chill. But yes, whenever things get really busy and chaotic, they expect you to work. And I've been working my ass off. And I'm okay with that. It's a good job. It's a job that's worth working your ass off for, if you ask me. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but they have 10 paid holidays a year. That starts as from day one. As soon as you get hired, you get holiday pay, and you start accruing PTO. So your first year, you get 12 days. On top of the 10 paid holidays, you get 12 days of PTO. That's year one. And then from year one, it just goes up. Every year you get more and more PTO until I think it caps out at like 5 years. At 5 years, you end up getting like 2 months off a year. Like 60 freaking days of PTO. Now that is incredible. So I don't plan on going anywhere, guys. I don't want to get back in the truck. I just want to stay right here. Not to mention the fact that after 6 months, you can get a promotion if you do well. Or maybe you don't want a promotion. Maybe I'll say, okay, I like this position. This is awesome. I want to stay right where I'm at. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to take advantage of this because I like the job. I enjoy doing it. I know it in and out. I can do it with my eyes shut. You can't really do it with your eyes shut. You need your eyes to inspect things, but you get the expression. So yes, absolutely. I'm very happy with the decision that I made to do this. I'm having a rough start again because we're so busy and because I'm having to, I feel like my training process has been a little rushed, and that's simply just because I've had to learn and adapt to so much so quickly, but I'm good at that. I mean, I figured, the way I see it is, if I can become a flatbed driver overnight pretty much and not have any accidents or any incidents, or anything like that and teach myself how to do that, then I can learn how to do something like this. It is very technical, and it takes a lot of like computer-based knowledge and skill and all that to do this job, but it's not that bad. It's different. Like it took a little while for me to get into the habit of doing it, but I like it a lot. I don't really like the area that I work in. You know, it's like, again, it's the west side of Atlanta. I'm spending a lot of time on Thornton Road. A lot of traffic. I drive through Atlanta almost every day now. Unless I get lucky and they send me to Noonan or Griffin, Fayetteville, and I don't have to drive through Atlanta from my house to get to the houses that I'm going to on that day, then yes, I spend a lot of time sitting in traffic, rush hour traffic in Atlanta. And they do pay me to drive. So I'm getting paid by the hour. They have this thing that I forget what it is. It's called a commuter something another. But basically, every day I have to drive for 2 hours for free. Think of it, if you're a truck driver, think of it kind of like detention pay. Every day I have to drive from my house to where I'm going to start working. I have to drive for at least an hour for free. After that hour, I can clock in and start working. And then the same thing when it's time to go home. I have to drive my last hour for free to get home. But anything outside of that, I can be clocked in for. They do pay overtime. I am getting a lot of overtime right now. So it's nice. I'm not having to put wear and tear on my own personal vehicle anymore to get to and from work. I don't have to pay for gas anymore to get to and from work. That's saving me a hell of a lot of money in the long run. This is a nice pickup truck. It's like I don't know what year. It's a newer Ford Ranger. I'm not actually going to stay in this vehicle. I'm actually waiting on a Sprinter van because the job that I'm doing, it requires having a lot of like tools and supplies and stuff to do. And so I need a cargo van, a small cargo van, to make sure that I have the inventory of things that I need to do this job. And you can't really do that with a pickup truck. But right now, until they get me in one of those vans, I'm in this thing, which I'm enjoying. It's pretty nice. I'm almost at my first house. I said it was in Douglasville. I'm wrong. I've actually got 6 houses in Dallas today. And lo and behold, all this is happening just in time for school to start back up. My own kids are starting school tomorrow. My son is starting middle school tomorrow. So I'll see how that goes. The last thing I'll say is there are some older videos that I haven't actually posted to the channel that I will post to the channel. If you guys want to see them, I'm just letting you know that from this point on, anything that I post to the channel that pertains to truck driving, just know that it's an old video. Don't think it's a newer video. There were videos that I wanted to post earlier before I did get this job, when I was still a truck driver, that I held off on for this reason or for that reason. But I still think they're good videos. If you like to hear me talk, and I don't say that in a egocentric kind of way, because I guarantee that most people don't like to hear me talk, and sometimes I don't like to hear myself talk. But if you guys are interested, I will post those accordingly. I know it's been quite a while since I made the last video, or maybe even almost a month. Well, I'm updating you, getting back with you in this one, letting you know what's been going on with me for the past month. So, other than that, I hope you guys are doing good, and I hope you take care. And, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I will continue to give you updates on how I'm doing. Again, can't really say that anything I'm going to post to this channel in the future will pertain to truck driving unless it's old stuff, because I have separated myself from the industry. I feel blessed to have this opportunity. It feels good to be doing something different with my time. And I was really thinking that I would be to the house by now, but this is just taking so long to get here. I will, when I do get there, I'll show you the inside of my truck, what it looks like. I know you guys are probably curious. All right, this is the road. You guys, it feels so good to hold that thought. All right, it's right here. It feels so good to drive and just regularly, normally drive down the road without having to worry about electronic logs or truck routes. Am I gonna hit a low clearance if I make this turn? Am I gonna be able to make this turn? Can I fit in this parking lot? It's not a truck stop. Oh my God, I have to piss. Where am I gonna stop and piss? It feels so good to not have to worry about that shit anymore. The camera's off up there. That's the camera. Samsara AI video monitoring. But I have my tablet right here, which I'm not going to turn the screen on for. I've got some supplies in here. Some signs down there. I'm not going to show you the signs. But yeah, I'm just getting started, and well, I got to get to work, so I can't hold you up any longer. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Leave a like if you're happy for me. And I appreciate your time. And I'll see you again later on. All right. Bye.